Hey, Bike People of Indy podcast. Good morning. Good morning, Blair.
Oh,
Yeah, get it. Oh, you're full there.
Cheers.
Cheers. Good morning to you. We're here at the Bike People shop with Blair Dietrick, Stewie Martin here.
And Zelda Dietrick.
Yes. Blair, really excited to have you on.
Yeah,
First time.
Happy to be here.
Got to know you here at the shop. You immediately came off as like a community builder, so to speak, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think our first conversation was talking about the zine project, which we ended up doing.
Yeah, like that came right away.
Yeah.
And look how that went. It was awesome.
Yeah.
I'm very proud of that collaboration. And which brings us here, talking on the podcast. Obviously, we've got something planned as we've got a line of books between us here. So before we get to that, talk a little bit about who you are, your background cycling. So how'd you start riding a bike? Where are you from?
So I'm from Indianapolis. Went to Catholic school here, went to North Central, went to Bloomington for a couple years for school, lived out in California for about 6 years, and then moved back here in 2020. I've always biked. Like when I lived in Bloomington, I didn't have a car, so I biked a lot during those few years. Kind of always had a bike, and then I was a runner growing up, had some injuries to my knees and wasn't able to run as much anymore, so I kind of just turned that like energy outlet towards cycling a couple years ago and started doing more events and stuff. So probably like in 2023 is the first time I ever like signed up for like a local bike event and went and did it.
Yeah.
So I've been more in the community the last couple years because of that. But yeah, I've always loved cycling. I've always had a bike.
And Indy, before you went off to Bloomington, was there much riding outside of the neighborhood, or?
I grew up like in Glendale area, so it was pretty easy for me to get into Broderpool and get on the Monon. So that was kind of my spot that I would bike growing up.
Cool.
Yeah, but I would say the bike community here has definitely grown a lot. I think even just since COVID, in my experience.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah, for sure, it's changed.
Yeah.
So, were you part of the Bloomington bike experience that some people lean into when they're there? I understand. I didn't go to IU, but I understand now that Little Five is like this historical thing that's kind of unique to the town. Everybody's on the same bike or something like that.
I was, to be honest, I was like extremely crusty in college, and I was like so anti-establishment everything. I never even went to Little Five.
I can't imagine that.
I know, and I feel bad because I'm like, it's such a cool event. I can't believe I never went when I lived there. But no, I just used it as like my means of transportation. And I had this really cool old yellow Pook frame that I actually got at Freewheelin' in like, I want to say like 2008 maybe.
Oh wow!
And that was my bike. Freewheelin'. Yeah. So that was my bike when I lived down there, and that was just how I got around. So
very cool. Yeah. Beyond riding around as a child, that's when I got back into biking, was once I got to school and realized like these are long walks I'm doing every day. I could cut it way down and have a lot of fun on these hills with a bicycle. So rediscovered riding in town and mountain biking in college. So it's good to get to a nice college destination where you can just bike.
Yes,
Bloomington is that
great for biking.
Yeah, I was just there yesterday, finishing up a ride in Bloomington, hitting paths I never hit, and I was oh, this is fun.
Yeah,
a lot of hills.
Nice, sweet.
So since you said you've only started doing some events, like more of the hardcore stuff that you're doing. I know you did the Pacific Crest Trail hiking. Yeah. Was that before 23?
Yeah, so I actually did the Triple Crown. I did the Appalachian Trail in 2012.
Through
through hiking. Yeah.
Started in spring down south and went up.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so I did the AT in 2013, the PCT in 2015, and then the CDT, the Continental Divide, in 2019.
Were these with like partners or alone?
I did the AT and the PCT solo, and I did the CDT with my partner at the time.
Wow.
Yeah. So those years, I was really into long distance hiking, and I was working for the Park Service seasonally. So I would work a couple seasons and then take a season off and hike. And that was a great way to spend my 20s. Yeah.
Very
so
cool.
I think it was like, I've always enjoyed endurance sports. So it was running growing up, hiking for those few years, and then I've been doing more bike stuff the last couple of years. And there's just something really calming about that headspace that you get into when you're just doing something for a really long time.
Yeah. Same thing with running. Like you enter the same thing.
I feel like you get to the same spot through different activities just by moving your body kind of like slowly, but for like a long time.
Yeah, for sure. Cool.
Yeah.
Nice. And the recent delving into bicycling, is that driven just by the fun of it, or driven by an injury, you said? Or
so yeah, I've had some injuries specifically to my right knee, some low back stuff. So I just got to the point where running didn't feel good anymore. I don't think it was really a good fit for my body. And then in 2002, my dad passed away, and then I had a really intense and interesting experience that I know you're familiar with. I did BUFO.
All the way back then?
Yeah.
In 2002?
2022.
Oh, 22. Okay, sorry. I misunderstood.
2022.
Okay.
You're like, you were 6. In 22. So my dad passed away. I did BUFO. And both of those experiences, I just felt I was really not in my body. And I really wanted to find a way to ground back into my body and feel like I was present, which I was struggling with. I was just having a lot of anxiety, a lot of like health anxiety. So my friend Rachel and I signed up for RAGBRAI, and we did RAGBRAI in 2023.
That's like a week-long ride across Iowa.
It's like a group bike pack across Iowa. That happens to be the 50th year that they've done it. So they missed 1 year. They missed 2020 because of COVID, but that was the 50th time that they've done that event, which ended up being kind of nutty because it was a little bit different than they normally do it. But anyways, that was like something to do where I was focused on a training goal, and I was just spending more time outside, using my body. That kind of brought me back to feeling a lot more healthy. And from there, she and I did the Major Taylor Grand Fondo that fall. The next year I did the rain ride. I did the Hilly 100, I think in 2023 as well.
Awesome.
My friend Maria and I did the Bloomington Bicycle Club. There's a ride where you go around Lake Monroe. I actually have a bunch of,
awesome.
I don't know if you can see these little ribbons on my bike, but you go around Lake Monroe and you hit every boat ramp, and every ramp you get a little ribbon.
Oh, that's so cool.
It's a really cool event. I think it's in September.
We might put that one on the radar.
The Tour de Ramps. Yeah.
That is awesome.
It's really fun. It's a small event. We happened to be there when like all the persimmons were ripe. So we would stop and get off our bikes and like eat persimmons and keep going.
Amazing.
And then last year I also did my first bike pack, which was out in California on Catalina Island. So that was like a 3-day, I want to say like 45 miles. So not big miles, but super, super hilly.
Yeah.
So you take a ferry out,
is that
bike
near
this route.
Indy? Where is that?
It's by LA.
LA, okay.
So it's part of the Channel Islands, but it's not part of Channel Islands National Park.
Okay,
so
gotcha.
Catalina Island is its own thing. I believe it's privately owned, but it's like a nature preserve.
Sounds
so that was really cool. That was a great first bike pack. Yeah. Very logistical because it's a very popular route. So we had to book our campsites, I want to say like 5 months in advance or something. Like it just books up really fast because it's a popular route.
Cool though.
Which makes sense because it's really beautiful. And then in September last year, I did my first solo bike pack, which was the Gap and C&O.
Yeah.
So the Greater Allegheny Passage and the C&O Canal Towpath, which goes from Pittsburgh to DC. The Gap is basically a rail to trail, so like the Monon, and then the C&O is a canal towpath. like the canal towpath.
There you go.
So paved for part of it, and then gravel single track for part of it, but really nice gravel, like really
a little bit of a climb, gradual or something like that.
You go over the
divide.
Yes, the Eastern Continental Divide. So whichever direction you go, I went from west to east. Whichever direction, there will be a day where there's a, like a 20-mile really gradual climb, and then you get to coast for like 20 miles.
Oh, hell yeah. So, very cool.
Yeah, that was a great route too. And that was cool to do alone, just to kind of be like, oh, I have what I need to do something like this by myself.
Yeah, everybody says that's just a great trip to do, and I still haven't done it. And I have friends who do it like repeatedly every year, so eventually I'll take the time.
It was a good time of year, I think, to do it, to not be in the heat. It would be really fun to do it a little bit later in the fall and catch the fall colors, like in October or something. Yeah. But yeah, it was a great route. It would be a really good like first bike pack, I think, for anyone.
Yeah, for sure.
And it was a good first solo bike pack. There's just a lot of infrastructure, and it's a very popular route. So
looks like a lot of the little towns along the way have a lot of character and just some like memorable campsites for the night. I remember one that just looks like almost like a long chicken coop or something. But it's just a bunkhouse. It looks really like accommodating for
like
the thing.
3-wall. Yeah. So it's nice in terms of planning, because you can be pretty soft with your planning. There's just campsites so consistently that you can kind of just see how you feel in a day. You don't have to get a specific mileage. There's lots of options of where you want to stop.
Very cool.
And it's cool because it's like, I think when you travel within the United States, you could like fly from Indianapolis to New York or to Atlanta or whatever. But if you're not flying over stuff, whether you're walking or biking or driving, you pass through what our country like really is at this point, which is these like small towns. And it's a lot of small towns that are like not doing so hot. Yeah. So you go through these towns that are almost like ghost towns, sort of like post-industrial, like wasteland. I mean, it sounds really dramatic, but it's just an interesting way to see the country, and it's an interesting pace to travel at. So I think there's something about the way you perceive that changes with the speed at which you're moving. So, walking, running, biking, driving or flying, you just notice different things and it feels different. So there's something about biking that's like
literally alters time if you think about it. Relativity. If you're riding on a bullet, imagine everybody else around you.
I do think though, like biking for some reason is like the sweet spot. I think
it's perfect speed.
It's the perfect speed because you're able to see quite a bit. You can go 60 miles in a day and it's not a stretch. But you're also like really seeing those 60 miles. So even like when I run an errand on my bike instead of driving, it like fills me with joy. Like there's just something about it that's so magical.
Yeah, for sure. Even a cold breeze, you can tolerate it at the speed of a bicycle, whereas in a car, holding your hand out the window, it's gonna freeze. So yeah, love it. One thing that you mentioned earlier was having done Bufo, and before we started rolling was something else you mentioned about having a cycling narrative. And you just rattled through a whole series of pretty epic rides you've done. So like, how does the Bufo tie into the cycling narrative, or did it motivate more cycling or something like that?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of mentioned it, but I could talk about it so much. But having the experience of losing my dad, again, in 2022, so this was like 3 years ago
fresh,
now. That was a really big loss. And it happened pretty quickly. So it was very, loss is always hard. I think even if there's something that is coming, it still sucks. But it was very fast. And then I did Bufo a month to the day after he died. And for better or worse, that was crazy. So, my experience of Bufo, and I think a lot of people have experienced that as well, is like you kind of leave your body and then come back. So it's kind of an experience of death in a way, because you leave the experience of being embodied and then you come back into it. And
that's hard to describe to people using words.
Yes.
Like that's a good way to put it succinctly. but still the words do it no justice, because like you're not here anymore, but you're very much aware.
Yeah.
You're not inebriated.
It sounds so crazy, but it is crazy.
It was no inebriation for me. Like to call it a drug for me was like, it sounded like an insult. It was a medicine,
like a really, really
some people are listening to what we're talking about and like, what is Bufo? What are these people talking about? But most people don't even know. But I think it's really important to share with the world. And granted, not everybody is on the same, journey that they're going to even need this in their life. But to some people, and especially if like about it for a while and hear other people's testaments about it as being a medicine, being called 15 years of therapy in 15 minutes, because it really is like a 15-minute, half-hour full experience, and then you're back to your day. I think it's important to talk about a little bit, just to let people know what it is. It's a animal medicine instead of a plant medicine. Most people are talking about plant medicines and ayahuasca, but this one medicine that's kind of in the background, that's like a known secret, is a toad venom. And I guess learning more about this, I guess it's a thing to smoke toad venoms of all the species, but this particular species of Sonoran toad, is it Bufo? Is that the name of the toad?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah, that's the name of the toad. It sounds crazy, but this venom's collected and dried, and you just smoke a large puff of it. And when I took part, it was done in like a ceremonial type of setting with like total respect for why we were there, which was not to just have a cool experience, but was to try to like go through some inner healing. Yeah. And it totally helped me with that. And like you described, it was out of body, out of this universe or whatever we're in. And it was like, I think I heard somebody say it's like being with forever for a moment, whatever that means.
You do. I think you leave your body and you also leave time.
Yeah.
Like I say, like you go into the void, and I've heard other people describe it that way too, which I don't think anyone should do it unless they feel really called to do it. It's just like a really big experience. I honestly I kind of feel neutral about it, where I'm like, I don't regret doing it. I'm not like, I'm so glad I did it, but it did change my perspective permanently on embodiment. Like, I'm continually so grateful that I get to be having the experience of being a person. I think it's like so special. So even on days like I struggle with chronic back pain, and it's like even on days when I don't feel good, I'm like, I'm really glad I'm here.
Yeah. And I don't know. Yeah, the same, because something about that short experience made me more grateful for this time here.
Yes. But I do think, I mean, just kind of like to zoom out a little bit, in terms of being embodied, I have found movement to be such an important, just like life practice, whatever it is, whether it's walking, whether it's biking. And lately I've been really drawn towards biking, but I think that there's something about moving, not necessarily being like really fast or like competing, but just moving and being present in your body and grateful for the experience of being a person. Like movement, I think really honors that. Yeah. And so whatever level it is, I mentioned like that I have stuff with my back. It's like, a lot of days my bike ride is 10 minutes long and it's pretty slow. You know what I mean? Like, and then some days I'll ride 165 miles in a day across the state of India. Like it's it changes, but I think it's all good. And I like that about the shop, that bike people literally has a turtle as its emblem. Like it's not about being the fastest. It's not about like pushing yourself. You can push yourself if you want. It's choose your own adventure, but it's more about just showing up however you can and being part of a community of people who are like, we're people right now in the same place. That's fucking cool. Let's hang out about it.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah. Thanks for that perspective on all that. That's like really, it's cool. It sounds crazy to talk about everything we just went through, but yeah. just wanted to share it because I feel like people who are experiencing like a low point, a very low point, it is like something that obviously not everybody's ready for, but it's there if it calls you. And leave it at that, I guess. So yeah, thanks for the compliment on, the bike people and the essence of the turtle. I'm really stoked people are seeing that too.
Essence of turtle.
And like it is vibing with a lot of people.
Yeah.
And I'm really glad to see it. So yeah. And thanks for everything you've put in so far. I wanted to thank you for the zine and all the effort of you basically single-handedly driving that.
Yeah, we've got a few copies left.
Yeah, we've got copies of the zines left. We're still selling them for $5, so we're just trying to get them out there.
Are there any spoke cards left?
There's a few.
Cool. Okay.
Yeah, so if you want a spoke card, come see us. So
also, Stu could not be more relaxed right now.
Yeah, he's in his element. the construction right through the wall is not bothering this guy. But yeah, I want to talk about our next little effort here that you're again bringing to the forefront, and you've got the background in doing this kind of thing to definitely be the person to drive it. So behind Stu here, we have several bicycle-related books, and you're interested in starting a Bike People book club, right?
Yeah.
And can you tell us about like frequency and what you're thinking on that?
Absolutely. So we're gonna do a bike book club for the next year. So we're gonna have one book every 3 months. The first book is Bets by Carrot Quinn, and I think Matt's gonna be posting about this soon, so all the info will be on Instagram. So basically, we've got 4 books, different genres, all related to biking. The first one I'm really excited about. This person hiked the PCT the year before me, 2014, and wrote an ebook about it at the time. So this is a self-published book. It is a quick read, super fun, sort of this like dystopian book that hits really hard right now because it's all about like supply chain breakdown and inflation, which feels like this could be us, in like 10 years or something, depending how things go. But basically, the main character leaves the city for the deserts of Nevada with a courier bike and a chihuahua and is trying to survive in this like dystopian hellscape. I loved this book. I could not put it down. It's super, super fun. Stu, stop it!
Yeah, this is very on PC for our podcast.
And now we have to put a paywall up because of that. So yeah, first
Spicy.
book is Bets by Carrot Quinn. Right now it's only available on Amazon. Matt might be picking up some copies to sell at the shop as well.
Yeah, I'll get on that so you don't have to resort to.
Cool. Yeah. And this meeting, it's going to be the first week of June. We're basically going to meet up for an hour or two on a weekday evening in the shop. I think it's a Tuesday evening. We'll have some kind of beverage to purchase and we'll just hang out and talk about the book. So if you want to join for the first one, read this by then. So read the whole book. We're going to just hang out once for each book and talk about it.
What do you typically like get out of a book club? Is it just like, do you leave after talking to other folks who read it with like just different interpretations of what everybody got? Is that like the main point?
Yeah. So I also do a book club at North Mass Boulder, which is the climbing gym that we're located very close to. And we do kind of a similar thing, different genres, all books about climbing. I think it's like a community builder. So it's a way to hang out with people, introduce people to different genres and different authors. Okay, so we just finished talking about our first book. It's going to be the first Tuesday in June. Matt's going to post about it on Instagram. So this one, like I mentioned, dystopian fiction, bike pack-esque, but in like a very dire setting.
Yeah.
Anyways, this is a quick read, super fun.
Hey, I just happen to notice, the courier bike that you own and the Chihuahua. Is there any parallels?
Was I excited about the cover? Yes, I was.
Before we forget, that's your bike. It's it's not just a bike you picked up.
Right. Yeah. So I actually welded this bike together. I can't take full credit. A friend of mine designed it, but I did all the welding on it. Wow. So
like all these little connections.
Yeah. So I think when you say I built a bike, that can mean different things, right?
Yeah.
So in this case, Like we literally built it from like the tubular components and put it all together. I used to weld when I worked for the Parks Service, so still had that
National Park Service?
Yes.
Yeah, where was that?
Yosemite.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
You were working at Yosemite?
Yeah.
Did you get one of those hats?
I was not a ranger.
Oh, okay, that's a different. Okay, gotcha. I thought the welders would get a cool hat too. No.
But yeah, so this is a really lightweight fixed gear bike. It's super, super fun to ride. I'm a bit selective about when I ride it because I will not like lock it up and walk away from it. It's just like so precious to me. But yeah, this was a really fun project. I feel like I learned a lot about bikes by getting the experience of building one. And yeah, I'll bring this to bike party and stuff like that around town.
So was it a one try and done, or did you have to like scrap a frame or anything? Or?
One and done.
One and done.
It was a slow. I mean, it was a couple months, but yeah. And the paint job was inspired by a nail polish combination. So it has sparkles all over it that you might not be able to see, but when the sun shines on it just right, it's very glittery.
It matches the Josh Rush painting above kind of nicely.
It does. And then I've got one of the spoke cards in there from our zine project. So I've seen some of those around town from people that have gotten the spoke cards too.
Yeah. Did you get the strength card?
I did.
Yeah, that's badass.
Yeah.
Whoa. Yeah. Cool.
All right, book club. So bets, we're going to be talking about that in June. So then the next one will be September. And I'm really excited about this one. It's called You and a Bike and a Road by Eleanor Davis. This is a graphic novel. I'm sure you can't actually see that, but her drawing style is so beautiful, really thin lines. This book is about a solo bike pack that she did from Texas to, I think it was from West Texas to Atlanta. Super, super beautiful book, really fun read.
I picked it up and laughed out loud at the first page. It was
so
on her
good.
bike tour. She says, today I'm only eating
food that looks
like dicks. Long donuts, hot dogs, whatever.
So this one's great. Both of these are pretty quick reads. I think everyone who reads this will really love her drawing style, and just very frank about how bike packing is fun, but it also can be like gross, arduous, etc. So this will be our September book. The next one would be December. So this is The Art of Cycling. The author, James Hibbard, used to race competitively, and now I think he's like in his 40s now, and he still rides with friends, but he doesn't race anymore. But he basically goes through the history of philosophy and different philosophers and applies their musings towards his own experiences with cycling. So it's pretty introspective, a little bit slower of a read, but I think it's really, really beautiful. Nice. That'll be our December one. Nice. And then this is crazy to already be talking about 2026, but our last book will be next year in the spring. This is a history of like the machine of the bicycle, basically. So Two Wheels Good, The History and Mystery of the Bicycle by Jody Rosen. So we've got all different genres here. Fiction, graphic novel, philosophy, and history. So would love it if people joined for all of them, or if there's one of these or two that you're excited about, feel free to just pop in for a meeting or two. But yeah, we'll get all that info up on Instagram.
Thank you for curating such a collection of books for us to do over the next year. And thanks for, driving another community building type of effort. I'm sure a lot of people will be super stoked to hear about this. So kind of wrapping up, I feel like one of the themes that we've talked about a lot is like the body suffering a little bit. I just got done with a 2-day bike packing trip with the shop here where you get to lean
Brown
in.
County Delight, right?
Yeah, and it was cold, and we went through some waist deep water several times, and it was definitely a challenge, and lots of hills, lots of miles, and a little bit of pain. And it just reminds me, like, thinking of you doing all your trips and bike trips, bike packing, bike touring, and your body. Your body is your limiting factor, right? And part of the joy of finishing.
The general you.
Yeah, right.
Right, you specifically. Right.
But yeah, I just feel like it's an interesting thing to point out is that like finishing a trip as we did, 11 out of the 12 of us were able to finish, and it was definitely tough, and I had some pain that had me thinking, oh shit, I'm going to have to bail. Like, but then when you finish a trip, it's part of the joy is like having finished, because there was always that uncertainty.
Yes.
Will my body fail me?
Yeah.
So,
and I think anyone you talk to, you know, there's people that are part of our community here at Bike People who are like really high performing athletes who travel all around and do these races and competitions and stuff. And anyone you talk to or that you know well enough to have these types of conversations with, we all have challenges and struggles that we're managing. Anyone that is like an athlete, certainly if you push your body hard enough, stuff's gonna come up and need managed and break down and whatever. So I think the experience of having pain is just part of it.
Yeah.
And the body is like both the limiting factor and it's like how we get to experience anything. So it's like, you know, it's the good and the bad.
Yeah, I guess my point I'd like to leave people with is you have to like have faith in it, you know, and like don't let fears of limitations with your body prevent you from doing cool shit. And I wonder how many people could do really cool shit, but they're, you know, they've never really put it all out there and risked, you know, having to, you know, end a trip short and bail out and all that stuff.
Which is also fine. Like not every trip is going to go swimmingly. And even when they don't, it can still be a great adventure. There's always shit to learn. There's also, there's a zine, I forget what it's called. There's like an art center in San Francisco for differently abled adults. And they put out a zine a couple times a year. And one of them was about like movement. And so a lot of the participants in this program have different levels of mobility. And it was really interesting to read their quotes about just walking around. And one person had said, I don't care if I go fast or if I go slow, I just want to go. And I think about that all the time because it's like, even some of these trips that you or I have been on, when you have a day or an hour that you don't feel very good, you're like, I'm still out here, you know, like maybe I'm going to go a little bit slower today, but I still get to be experiencing this journey and like, what a gift, like truly.
Yeah, for sure. Thinking to like trying to put myself in the headspace of like day 100 or whatever of the Appalachian Trail, just for example, like, and you wake up with pain, as I'm sure you did many mornings. Like, how does that go? You know, being out there alone. Day 100 of loneliness or whatever.
I cried a lot on the AT. I also think crying is rad and we should
like
do it all
how
the time.
many like lifetimes worth of like emotional growth have you experienced through hard shit like that, right?
So the AT, I mean, I had a brace on my right knee for like 2 months on the AT. Like I also think I just learned everything the hard way. I had never backpacked at all before starting that trip. I did not have the right gear when I started. I don't think I really understood what I was getting into. So I think any long trip, like it's going to be all of the things. It's really fun. It's really hard. There are days that you're like, why the fuck am I doing this? There are days you're like, I want to do this forever. There's just so many gross parallels between a trip or a journey and like the journey that is life. But like on the AT, I mean, I cried a lot. There was this one moment in Maine. The trail in Maine is like very gnarly. It's like a lot of it is just rock with like roots.
And you feel like you're probably at the end, right?
Yeah, and you're at the end, your body's like so done. And there was this day that I was like walking alone and I like tripped and I fell and I landed on my whole body. And like, as I landed, my backpack slid forward and like ground my face into the rocks. It was like a kind of a slow fall. I was like, no. And then like, as I fell, it was like even more. And I just had like, I literally had like tears coming out of my eyes. My backpack was just like grinding my face with a rock. And I didn't get up for a minute. I just like lay there, like ground into the rock with my own back. I was like laying down like all the way. And I just was like sort of like letting myself like cry and like it just
sat with it, as they'd say.
I lay with it.
Okay, you lay with it.
But those experiences where you're just like, this is it though. I mean, I think social media and Instagram and shit, it's like it's easy to cherry pick and just show like all these like wonderful moments, but like everybody fucking cries. Everybody's like, this is all part of the universal human experience. And I think going on trips is a way to like really embrace that you are in the human
Yeah.
experience.
Ooh,
like, it's just a way
yeah.
to be like, yeah, I am in this.
Mhm.
Like, I don't know. I love a trip. I think there's so much potential for like growth and learning and putting yourself out of your comfort zone, physically being in a different space than the
Mhm.
spaces that you're normally in. Whether you go with a group or by yourself, like, you're going to meet other people, you're going to
Mhm.
have new experiences.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. I say we cut it there.
Cool.
That was a great conversation. I got a comment on your earrings. Did you just whip those up when you got here?
Will got these for me out of the vending machine.
I was gonna say, like, you
Yeah.
noticed the vending machine. I just
Yeah.
noticed your earrings. That's
Yeah.
cool. Yeah, we've got some really cool little bike biddies that one of our buddies dropped off. If you need some Blair flair.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks everybody. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.